Guys, we have a big breaking news coming out. Venezuelan oil tanker seized by United States headed to Houston. The Venezuelan oil tanker seized by the US this week is now headed to Houston. Reuters reports Donald and his administration have said they plan to keep the oil from the tanker, with the president telling reporters on Wednesday, well, we keep it, I guess. The White House press secretary Carolyn elaborated further, saying that the United States does intend to seize the oil, but said that a legal process will be followed. All right, so we're going to see what's going on here, guys. So something big is heading towards Texas. And for the first time, Venezuelan oil tanker is about to be docked out there in Houston. All right, guys, before I start, for those of you that want to send us letters or prayer requests, you can send it to me, US Santiago, or my wife, Jessica Santiago, at 3432 US Highway 19, number 2, Holiday, Florida, 34691. Estimated to be carrying 1.85 million barrels of Venezuela's marine heavy crude. According to tankertracker.com, the large tanker is too big to enter the Houston port and will need to offload the cargo to smaller ships, the sources told Reuters. Man, so there's a lot of oil in that thing. Man. So there is a lot of oil in that tanker. It's not going to fit in the Houston dock. Venezuelan oil tanker seized by the U.S. this week is now headed toward Houston. The vessels were seized off the coast of Venezuela Wednesday as the U.S. puts increasing pressure on Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro to leave office. In recent months, the U.S. had carried out increasingly large military buildup in the Caribbean and carry out military strikes on alleged drug smuggler boats off the Venezuelan coast. Now, Nicolas Gov responded to the seizure, branding it an act of international piracy, while Russia has demanded answer on the move. Wow, Russia stepping in? Here's the thing, Iran just confiscated a oil tanker. Yes, they just confiscated one. So nobody's saying nothing to them. Russia's not pleased with Donald. Donald, what are you doing? Why are you taking that oil tanker? So once again, Putin called Nicholas on Thursday to reassure him of Moscow's support, even as the U.S. puts increasing pressure on Venezuelan leader to leave office. The Kremlin said that Putin and Maduro had discussed a strategic partnership agreement. A senior Trump administration official described the move as a judicial enforcement action on a stateless vessel last docked in Venezuela. Now, Nicholas has long accused Washington of seeking to overthrow him and seize Venezuela's vast oil reserve. The nation's production has fallen from over 2 million barrels a day to roughly 1 million. The seizure comes after the U.S. president renewed threats of intervention by land, air, or sea, including a recent U.S. fighter jet flyover near Venezuelan airspace. Now, Caracas condemned the action as international piracy and brazen theft, accusing the U.S. of trying to control its natural resources. Leave comments down below. Do you think Donald is wrong for confiscating that tanker? Leave comments down below. How does oil tanker shadow fleet operate? The United States has said that the oil tanker Skipper that is seized off the coast of Venezuela Wednesday was part of a shadowing fleet of old oil tankers that smuggle oil for countries facing sanctions, such as Venezuela, Russia, and Iran. The ships, which are registered to Shell companies that help conceal their ownership, cloak their location by altering their automated identification system, a mandatory safety feature intended to help avoid collisions, to either go entirely dark or to spoof their location to appear to be navigating sometimes oceans away under a false flag or with the fake registration information of another vessels, according to Associated Press. The shadow fleet expanded after the U.S. imposed tough sanctions on Russia over its 2022 invasion of Ukraine. Experts say many of the ships are barely seaworthy, operate without insurance, and are registered to shell companies that help conceal their ownership. We got some more news. Look at this one here. Venezuelan oil exports dropped after U.S. tanker seizure. Venezuelan oil exports have fallen dramatically since the U.S. seized a tanker off the South American country's coast on Wednesday, Reuters report. Only tankers chartered by Chevron, which is headquartered in California, has entered international waters carrying Venezuelan crude oil since the seizure, and new sanctions announced by the U.S. Here's another one. So these are very important news that's coming out. Very important news. The U.S.-Venezuela tensions, 3 signs of looming war. Donald, deployment of warship of Venezuela, and the administration continuing pressure on Nicolas, considered to be Venezuela illegitimate leader, has heightened speculation about looming U.S. military action in South America. The strategy is emerging as part of a wider push to reestablish American primacy in the Western Hemisphere. The United States says it will reassert and enforce the Monroe Doctrine to restore American preeminence in the hemisphere, the White House National Security Strategy states. James Monroe, 1823 Doctrine declared the Americas, North, Central, and South, or the Americas, a U.S. sphere of influence, opposing European powers and paving the way for intervention across Latin America. Below are 3 signs the standoff between Washington and Caracas is intensifying. All right, so we're going to skip that one there. But things are not looking good. Things are not looking good. It's not looking good for the world. Oil prices firmer on supply worries after tanker seized. Oil prices rose on Friday as the possibility of the U.S. intercepting more Venezuelan oil tankers deepened supply concerns, but they remain on track for a weekly decline amid optimism over a possible Russia-Ukraine peace agreement, Reuters reported. Now it says here prices rose on Friday because of the confiscating the oil tanker. All right, this is only confiscating. Just imagine when things hit the fan, war breaks out. Those oil prices will hit the roof. Brent crude futures rose 29 cents or 0.5% to $61.57 a barrel by 8:15 p.m. And U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was at $57.91 a barrel, up 31 cents or 0.5%. It says here, after selling on expectation that supply pressures would ease amid hopes for a Russia-Ukraine peace agreement, buying emerged to pare losses following the U.S. seizure of a Venezuelan tanker. Now you have peace negotiation between Russia and Ukraine will remain the main focus next week and beyond. A possible peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine will likely increase the supply of Russian oil that is currently sanctioned by Western countries. Venezuela holds some of the largest proven crude oil reserves in the world, most of which is the extra heavy crude oil from the Orinoco Belt. It's all about the oil. I mean, that's what it sounds like. It's all about the oil. Russia, and then you have U.S., and then you have Europe, and then you have Iran, and then you have Venezuela. You got it's about the oil at the very end. Senator calls on Congress to block Donald from using taxpayer money for conflict with Venezuela. Yeah, like you guys didn't use our tax money and baloney stuff. It says here Senator Chris said that he is calling on Congress to block the Donald and his administration from using taxpayer funds to carry out armed conflict with Venezuela. As Donald continued to manufacture a cover story for armed conflict with Venezuela, I'm calling on Congress to block him from using taxpayer dollars to launch a regime change war. And how come you didn't do it when Joe was sending billions of our tax money to Zelensky? How come you didn't have the nerve, Mr. Chris, to block Joe? This is just messed up. So nobody had the guts to block Joe from sending our tax money to Ukraine. But when Donald trying to stop these lawlessness from bringing their drugs into our sleeping giant, all of a sudden, Donald is the bad guy. So it's like they want these gangs to bring their poison and take out sleeping giant citizens. U.S. seizure of oil tanker of Venezuela signal crackdown on shadow fleet. We're going to skip this one here. So, reaction to U.S. seizure of Venezuela oil tanker. Welcome back to the conversation where we highlight our readers. Okay, we're going to skip all this here. Let me just skip this one here. Look at this one. Colombia says it would consider offering Nicolas asylum. So Colombia would consider offering Nicolas asylum if he were to request protection, Colombian Foreign Minister Rosa Villavicencio told the Radio Caracol broadcaster. Now it says here Donald has not confirmed any military plan for Venezuela, but pressure has been building on Nicolas for weeks as the U.S. deploys forces to the Caribbean in support of what it says its campaign to stop the gang flowing to the U.S. from Venezuela. Donald has said he believes Nicolas' days are numbered, and he has spoken of land operation in Venezuela. Once again, Villavicencio said Colombia should not close the door to Maduro. The Colombian broadcaster cited the minister as saying on Thursday, tensions between the U.S. and Colombia have also escalated in recent weeks, with Donald threatening to extend his anti-drug military campaign and warning that Colombian President Gustavo could be next. And you guys already know this one here, so this is very important. So Donald says land strike on Venezuela coming soon. All right, so we already know this. We're not going to talk about this. But again, it's B-52 bombers. It's just flying near Venezuelan airspace. I mean, it's just really close to their territory. But again, I'm going to leave this link in the description box. What are your thoughts? Let me just refresh the page. But it's not over. It seems like U.S. about to confiscate some more stuff from them. Give me a second here. Let me go on X really quick. nation against nation and kingdom against kingdom is building up. Footage of Donald talking about Venezuela just now from the Oval Office. I have no idea what he's saying in this one here. Let me just play this video. Give me a second. Let me set up the audio so you guys could hear. Give me a second here.
Strikes on Venezuela. It's land strikes on horrible people that are breaking in drugs and killing our people. You know, if we were in a war and we lost 300,000 people in a year, because that's what the real number is. It's not 100. You know, you keep hearing 100. And it's a lot worse than that because the families are devastated when they lose their child. If we were in a war and we lost 2 or 300,000, but I think it's more than 300,000, and that's a war that's like a war that would be unparalleled. Nobody's ever seen anything like that, and that's what's happening. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in Venezuela. It's people that are bringing in drugs to our country are targets.
Mr. President, at the end of this year, those extended Obamacare subsidies expire. What's your message to
not only land strikes on Venezuela, it's land
all right, so it's basically land strike. We already know that. So there will be a land strike. There's a possibility. I guess it might happen in 2026, the beginning. He just don't want to do it now because of the New Year's and Christmas is around the corner. But yeah, this is where we at right now, guys. This is where we at. I will keep you updated. I'm a little concerned though about the oil tanker that's heading towards Houston. I mean, Nicholas could be a little sneaky. I mean, we don't know if there's something in that oil tanker. I mean, he was dancing and stuff. And who dances like that? Joker, you know, and Joker always, you know, in the movie Batman and stuff like that, he's always got booby traps in certain ships and stuff like that. Hopefully, the tanker, there's nothing in that tanker that could go kaboom, heading to Houston. But again, I will keep you updated with all this news here, guys. And thank you so much for the prayer. Triple check, quadruple check your notification bell. Things are looking pretty insane in 2025 when it comes to the platform. A lot of things. I mean, they added some new stuff in this platform that completely shifted channels around. I mean, it just, so many people had disappeared. It's not their fault. It's that the platform kind of washed them away. And we used to have thousands of people watching our video. Now they're gone. The platform did. You guys already know they do that type of stuff. So again, we're gonna have to restart all over again and build our channel. And this is why we tell you guys to follow us on X. You have to follow us on X. X don't be doing that type of stuff. But again, we want to thank every single one of you for your support. Thank you so much for watching, guys. God bless you all. Till next time later. Peace.